Hey everybody, this is Grace and it's Monday morning and I feel like doing a video blog, a vlog on jealousy. Now I'm not experiencing jealousy. I don't ever feel jealous toward people, but back when I was doing an actual blog, I wrote a lot about jealousy because I felt, especially during the dating, when I was dating, oh yeah, I felt a lot of it toward me. People being jealous of me, but I'll get to that in a minute. Most people, in my view, think that somebody who's expressing jealousy is kind of narcissistic. That doesn't always have to be the case. They have, but some would say it is. It's only, it falls under the definition kind of thing. But sorry, I'm kind of out of breath. I went running upstairs, and you're probably hearing thunder because I kept hearing noise, and it turned out to be that dog. If he shows his face a little more, yeah, Marmaduke. Anyway, made me a little out of breath. But I'm not experiencing it right now in either direction. And it's kind of hard to talk about something that you're not experiencing like this along that line. But it's been on my mind lately, so I'm going to try to do something in between all the distractions with the dogs and the storm. I think we got a big storm coming through. And but I'm going to talk about some of them that I have seen that are kind of narcissistic, and give some examples of what I've experienced with people who are this way. Some would just call them abusers, some would call them toxic people. Some would just say, oh, they had a moment. But that, I think, is a problem. And I'll get to this right away. Whew, my voice. But when we express it, we usually say, oh, her jealousy caused her to do that, or his jealousy caused him to do this. That's taken away from my personal views. That's taken away from their accountability. For them to feel accountable for their actions, because they could just say, it brings on a whole atmosphere of saying, oh, I was just jealous at the moment. Well, no, you chose to do what you did. I don't believe that everything we do is something we chose to do, not everything. But the things I don't think are something we chose to do is when it comes to survival, your own survival, your own family's survival, or just survival of the species. Like if you see somebody hit a child or an elderly person, the child, some would say that's the survival of the species coming out however you react. You don't have that much choice, and you don't have time, really, if you're the type to act, But, goodness. But someone, like an elderly person, it would be more like compassion, an act of compassion. Ooh, listen to this storm. I'll be right back. Okay, I wasn't able to get right back because the storm came through, and we're supposed to have storms all week long. But anyway, I wanted to say something about the differences between jealousy and envy. I've recently mentioned that I've heard it one way, that jealousy is when you want something somebody else has and you don't want them to have it. And envy is when you want something somebody else has and you don't care if they have it. But it's actually not true. That's actually not the definition. And I've known that for a while. The definitions, the way we use it today, gets all mixed up. Okay? We kind of use them interchangeably, but the definition of jealousy is when you have something, like your romantic partner or your whatever kind of your romantic partner, let's just say it that way, and you don't want somebody else to take that person away from you, or you suspect that somebody might be, or something along that way. There's some kind of distrust there. There's some kind of you're fearing losing somebody. Okay. Now envy, however, is when you want something that somebody else has, but you're also feeling like you want it, but you don't really want them to have it themselves. Okay, that's how it's twisted. It's backwards. Okay, let me correct that statement. Envy is not about taking from somebody. It can be, but it doesn't necessarily. You might just want it and you don't care, but you might want it and you do care. The other person has it. But we'll get into envy another day because it's going to get too confusing, and I might change my mind on how I see all of that. But about as far as now, I'm going to mix them up. I'm telling you, I have heard it so many ways, and the ways things change over time depends on how the public sees them. And these days we use jealousy as, more something like you see something somebody else has and you want it, but you don't want them to have it. Like I said earlier, I've always heard it that way. Or we'll say, I envy them this or envy them that, but they're not caring. Anyway, an example of this, let me get on with this. The narcissistic type person that I've seen, that I've experienced, is when they are, I'm going to say, jealous of your happiness. That's one example. Because to them, you are an extension of them. You're, the person they choose to be, they think is, and that person will not agree, but they think of it as their mini-me, their extension of themselves. And they are often not happy people. So they see that person being happy, then they shouldn't be. To them, they shouldn't be. But to the narcissistic type, they shouldn't be happy, the other person. And so they might try to, sabotage it somehow, or like I say, they put their touch of misery on it. That's how I put it, touch of misery. So the other person, they no longer want to do whatever it is. Say it's a hobby like reading or doing craft work or gardening, anything that they enjoy. Let's not talk about jobs, it's different. But anything that they really enjoy doing is more of a hobby. And that other person, the narcissistic person, doesn't enjoy that hobby, so that, their mini-me, to them, mini-me shouldn't either. And they want to destroy it. Some of them, remember, one size does not fit all, and there are exceptions to every rule, that kind of thing. And this is, read my disclaimer in the description box here on YouTube. It's not for counseling advice and all that. And this is not an educational video. Anyways, it's more my opinion, my views, because I have seen that. I have seen that the thing of somebody putting a touch of misery on any hobby. From when I was a child, even I enjoyed dreams. I'd have, real vivid dreams. I'm a lucid dreamer as it is. And I like to talk about them, but one of my siblings, she hated it. She just hated it. She worked to destroy my, my enjoyment of it. What was my dream? Where was I in my dreams? That kind of thing. To move on. They also, it's also that you are that whatever is your hobby is taking away from them, and that would be a true definition of jealousy, because they feel that they already have your attention. All of your attention is on them, and then if you have something else, it could be a hobby, or it can even be another person, a friend, even a child, or your own parents, and they want that attention. They feel they have it, and now you're giving it to somebody else, and you shouldn't be. So they'll try to ruin that too. So that's two of the ways that narcissistic people, in my experience, my opinions, my views, do. Okay, I'm going to give myself a headache if I keep trying to distinguish between what we call envy now and should be jealousy and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but here's an example, like if you're at work and you do a great job on something and your boss is real happy with you and, goes around telling everybody you did such a great job, another person might be sitting there and they are envious of that fact. Okay, the true definition would be they're envious because they might feel inferior to you. Now, we call it jealousy. We say they're jealous of you, but it's actually envious. Anyway, that happens, and the person who is the narcissistic type might also, because of, they could be a narcissistic type, because the tension is not on them. The tension needs to be on them, to them. So, the world revolves around them kind of people. And, but what we usually hear about jealousy, really, and it is more what jealousy is about, is in relationships. Like I said, when, say, a married couple, the woman feels that the husband is giving more attention to some other woman, and that would be the jealousy, because she's afraid of the man being taken from her. And they say that men, however, and I've always heard this, men, however, it's more of a sociobiological perspective, is that, the men want to make sure that their children are their true offspring. On that line, some people differ, in the way they see it. But that's how they express that. The jealousy is really about relationships, and not about anything else. I don't know. I disagree with that. But my own experience with it was when I was dating. And, really my biggest experiences, some of them, I had those about taking hobbies away, but it was when I was dating, especially one guy I dated for, his name was Michael. I dated him for 4.5 years. And during that time, his past girlfriends, his previous girlfriends, were his friends. And I didn't meet them until, I'd say, a couple of years later. And they were friends with, two of them were friends with one another, and the more current one, before me, she was not. And he was in the hospital more than once. They would do kinds of just like mentally torturing me. When I get him in the hospital, first time he had a heart attack, the second time he had fallen and hit his head and cracked his back of his skull, and he wouldn't go into the hospital because he hated him so much. I had to actually go before a judge and have him picked up by the constable and taken to the hospital. And the next day, his mom was told if I hadn't done that, he would have been dead. And it was a whole ordeal. But his friends, it was like one of those no good deeds goes unpunished kind of situations, because his friends, except for the male, which was just a male friend, his female friends, which were his ex-girlfriends, they made it miserable, totally miserable for me, the whole situation. Now, on top of he was in the hospital with the skull problem for 61 days, 45 of which he was either non-responsive or unresponsive. Yeah, and they were making it miserable for me the whole time. All right, okay. And they made it miserable for me. But the interesting thing, was they kept calling me and pushing me. He and I had actually broken up, and they kept pushing me to tell me to go get him in the hospital, to go through the police, all this kind of stuff, and I eventually did. I had tried calling the police for welfare checks. They went out there several times. They told me the last time, if you call once again, we're going to get you for 911 abuse because we're not seeing any problem. A friend of mine had worked in a psychiatric hospital. He told me what to do, and the last time I called, the actual last time I called, 911, they said, you know what to do. I told them, they said, you know what to do, you have to do it. I went for a judge, got him in. The judge said, yes, we have to put him in the hospital immediately. Had to go out and meet the constable out there, identify him, and he went in the hospital, like I said. Was in there for 61 days. Now, his friends, they kept pushing me to do it because I had lived with him before, and they pushed me to do it, and they wanted me to say that I was his common law wife. I was divorcing him. And I wouldn't do that, and his mom found out, and she was very angry because he had a big life insurance policy, you see. And what envy, jealousy, whichever one you want to call it these days, will push a person to do, yeah. And she made it miserable for me. Nobody was expressing appreciation for me having gotten him in the hospital and he didn't die. No, their jealousy was, the attention should be on them, or the money was going to go to them, her family, that kind of thing. And so my experience with it, yeah. There's more to this, about jealousy, but I want to do a separate one on envy. I got to get it. One of these days I'm going to get it in my mind, but how can you, it keeps the definition and the way we express it is changed. It's kind of like how at one time Democrats and Republican changed, and then now it's more of a conservative and liberal has changed, kind of flip-flopped. So anyway, that's enough for this one. I do want to say that this is something I'm going to start doing more on, this kind of thing, and maybe I want to get to eventually where I'm going to really get deeper into borderline personality disorder, to studying it. I've studied in the past, of course, but when I was a student, I never heard it called that. I vaguely remember that, and narcissists. It was basically people who they took the extreme of the abusive side to it. And so I want to, do a video because that helps me to remember. So anyway, this is getting long, and I'm going to cut it short. I did it in this room like this because I just didn't feel like putting on makeup in the storm. My hair is going to be the humidity hair. And anyway, that room in there you see on the carpet in there, well, besides the dog that's there. So I sprinkled some of that stuff on it that on my carpet. Yeah, like you really need to know that, but in case you're wondering why it looks like that, that's why. So, okay, enough from this on this video, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.